Pozuelo, the chip, and he's got it! After his decade of service, the inside ball is a goal! It's Gustav Svensson!
And then there were 6. A number 1 seed drops on the third night of the Audi 2019 MLS Cup Playoffs. NYCFC, the blue side of New York, are out thanks to a Panenka and a terrible tackle that led to a penalty kick. The Seattle Sounders are moving on once again. That's 11 straight victories in the playoffs at CenturyLink Field. Welcome to Matchday Central, the AT&T MLS Studios. I'm Andrew Wiebe, Calen Carr, Charlie Davies, Sacha, Kljestan. We're going to wrap this up with a big bow. All the highlights, analysis, everything you need to know after the first 2 matches of the conference semifinals. And I'll open it up to the panel here. Sacha, start with you. What'd you see and what'd you think about it?
I got to say, Seattle put in a really mature, good home playoff performance. I think they're okay at different times not having the ball, playing very narrow, being very compact defensively, hitting guys on the counter. Jordan Morris was dangerous. And then they get another goal off a corner kick like they did last game against Dallas. Svensson at the near post flicks one on, Morris taps it in. This time he gets the goal. Really good performance. And Salt Lake was just never able to break them down or be dangerous.
I thought RSL started off great, and you got excited about their performance because you thought, oh wow, they're not going to sit back. They're going to actually take the game to Seattle. They dominated possession, but didn't really generate any golden opportunities. Seattle stood tough, countered. Nico Ladero, they grew into the game, and then they were the far better team towards the end of the second half.
You guys went through the more straightforward performance, but the big surprise was NYCFC going out. And look, we had sat here at pregame, and all of us picked NYCFC, especially with no Jozy Altidore, no Omar Gonzalez in the lineup. And then what do you see? We had questions about how is this long break going to affect a team? Well, the first half, this team looked completely asleep, and it was sort of brought together with the back pass that ended up in the Pozuelo goal. The team woke up in the second half, but to see the top seed from the East, who's had such a great season, crash out like that at home was the shock of the night.
Yeah,
for me.
Bob Bradley will have been watching and thinking about maybe what his LAFC team needs to do to avoid a similar fate. I also want to throw out there Nick Rimando's final game as a professional. We'll talk about that more in just a little bit. Doyle, let's bring you in here. What'd you think?
I mean, building off what Calen said, it was shocking from NYCFC to see them go out like that, and it was self-inflicted. But at the same time, like, full credit to Toronto FC. They were the better team by far in the first 45 minutes. And then again, like the last 15, 20 minutes of the game. If you look at the whole of the game, NYCFC had probably 20, 25 good minutes at best, which has been their MO down the stretch. Toronto FC were better than that. They were just the better team on the night. They took advantage of the mistakes, and that's how you move on in the playoffs.
A little bit of drama now, too. Dome Tarrant, in his post-game press conference, hinting maybe we'll try to dissect these quotes as to his future with the blue side of New York. We want you to vote on the most valuable player of the night, Alejandro Pozuelo. 2 goals. Richie Laryea drew a penalty kick. Gustav Svensson with the first goal for the Sounders. And Nicholas Ladero with that finisher for Seattle. Who you guys taking? What's your gut say? Who's the MVP of tonight?
My gut is I'm going Pozuelo. And for me, it's the shock of the night. It's the shock of the playoffs. Alejandro Pozuelo came in, penalty, stepped up, buried it with a Panenka, of all things, and then was there to pick up that bad back pass by Chanot. I mean, this is a team that is coming together. Without Jozy Altidore, their main attacking piece, and without Omar Gonzalez, the main center back, they are coming together, and it's unbelievable. I'm shocked.
He is shocked. He can't believe it because in the pregame show, he was saying there is no way.
No shot.
No shot for Toronto FC. What do you guys think? Ladero, Svensson, maybe Laryea?
I got to go Pozuelo, too. To go on the road and get 2 away goals, to get your team into the next round of the playoffs, like he said, no Jozy, no Omar. Pozuelo put the team on his back tonight and was the star of the night.
And he hasn't always been that consistent throughout the second half of the season. He's shown flashes of brilliance, but then you think, oh, now he's being forced to play this number 9 with no Jozy Altidore on a small pitch on the road. And he continued to cause problems. The dynamic movement of that team was too much to handle and stepped up at the end of the game with a little bit of class.
The small pitch helps because he's not a player with pace. I mean, you condense that field. He's going to get more of the ball, closer to goal. It really worked out for Toronto and their game plan for this New York City FC team.
We will get to those highlights in just a little bit. But first, the nightcap. Sounders, Real Salt Lake, Nick Rimando, perhaps his final game. We now know that to be true. Look, they grounded out, but they also had quality in the biggest moments of the match, Sacha. But the beginning was just kind of cagey.
What a goal this would have been. What a shot. Tries to catch him in the top corner. Unlucky, goes off the post.
Ladero. We're going to call him the Ram, I think. He's an Aries. That's his zodiac, just in case you were wondering. Full of energy, Charlie, was Nicholas Ladero, and especially saw that later on. But Nick Rimando had his moments. It just wasn't there for RSL. They didn't have the final piece all night long, Calen.
No, they just weren't able to really cause Stefan Fry too much trouble. We saw him have to stand practically on his head at times, especially late in the game against FC Dallas. They weren't able to generate that much pressure. Seattle didn't have the best first half, guys, but in the second half, it seemed to get back down to business the way they wanted.
And Sacha, you said you'd seen this before. Well, we had. This time it went in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, it was from the other side last week, but Svensson getting to that near post and flicking it in. You know, Rimando might have been caught out a little bit too far in the middle of the goal, but a great header by Svensson.
And this is a patent finish from Ladero. Going across his body, far post, side netting. Rimando had no chance. It's a fantastic performance for Seattle heading into a conference final.
And there's the Rojo. Everton Luiz. Terrible tackle. Ugly tackle on Gustav Svensson.
Everton's going to regret that when he watches it back later, and he's going to be suspended for the early part of next season, which is too bad, because he was probably Salt Lake's best player on the night.
Seattle, though, moving on. 11 straight wins at home in the playoffs. That is second all-time to DC United, who did it from 1996 to 1999. This streak goes from 2014 to present day. Depending on who wins tomorrow night in El Trafico, they could have another home game. They could make it 12. What do you see here, Doyle, other than the fact that Real Salt Lake did not have the final product, let alone opportunity to produce the final product?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing with RSL. If you look at their play around the box, they're always so conservative. They don't have anyone who could split defenders with that final ball, and that's been their Achilles heel all season long against the best teams in the league. They don't have those difference makers. So you have to rely upon a team making a mistake. In Seattle, they didn't make any mistakes tonight. Svensson was awesome. The center backs who've been under a lot of heat this year, they were very, very good tonight. And then if you have that at the back and you have Nico Ladero up top or in central midfield running things, you're probably going to win most games.
Brian Schmetzer says, we don't need the ball. We'll do it to you on set pieces and on the counter attack. Let's get to Gustav Svensson and AT&T Call to the field with Poppy Miller.
Gustav, your first goal of the season could not have come at a more crucial time to open the scoring. Explain to me what that moment was like for you and your teammates.
I mean, yeah, it was a good corner from Nico, and we had good chances. We had a lot of good chances this game, but the ball didn't want to get in, so just a good feeling that it went in. And like I said, good corner from Nico. I could just got my head on it, and great feeling when it entered the goal.
You came out a different team to what we saw in the first half. What was that halftime team talk like?
I mean, we talked about composure when we have the ball. We had some chances first half, but we didn't really play well. But with the help of our fans, it helped us a lot. We came out and we did a good job second half.
11 consecutive wins in the postseason when you've been at home. What is it like playing here, and how important were the fans tonight? What makes it so special?
You can just hear it right now. It's great. It's a great feeling playing here. They were always with us, and I'm thankful for that because it helps us. You can see that today. They helped us a lot.
A quick turnaround now before the next one, yet to be determined who you will face. Do you enjoy tonight, and when does the preparation start for the next one with the short turnaround?
I mean, it starts tonight. We have to do the ice bath and everything, make sure we're ready for next game. Now it's a week. We had two tough games now, so 1 week feels like a long time, so we get time.
Brilliant, congratulations, appreciate the time.
Thank you, thanks.
Big goal for Gustav Svensson. It's the game winner. It sends the Seattle Sounders on. They're in the conference finals. That will go down on October 29th. Against who? Well, we don't know yet. El Trafico is coming tomorrow night. And rub your hands together, Charlie, because that is going to be an absolute peach. Just rubbing your hands. You just took that literally.
I'm ready. And I can't wait to see Seattle play, whether it's LA Galaxy or LAFC. I believe it's going to be LAFC. I think we all do. But seeing Jordan Zion Morris just countering with that speed and power, it causes so much problems. And if they're going to sit and counter and not have the ball, there's not a better player to have on your team to break the lines and get in behind back lines.
They rested him too. I'm going to call him the Mercer Island Zion. Sacha, you were saying as we were listening to that interview, the Sounders know exactly who they are. What did you mean by that?
They just know exactly who they are. They played at home tonight in a playoff game, and they had 38% possession, and they never looked uncomfortable. They were fine with that. Like you said, they got Zion making the run, Jordan Morris getting in behind. This guy's got tons of energy and can counterattack well. They're okay not having the ball, and they know who they are. I think that's a good playoff team.
There were some cracks, let's call them, Calen, against FC Dallas. Did they paper over those? Did they tell you that those are less concerning? I mean, the competition's going to get better.
Yeah, but this is much more the Sounders team that Schmetzer wants. And look, he was unhappy with the first half. I think went in and had a word with his team. But these small margins, year after year, this time of year is when Schmetzer and this team is able to find the difference. Whether it's a set piece, understanding where there might be a free space in the zone, you get Svensson across the goal, or whether it's just getting out on the break a little bit and looking for that cut back to Laryea. They have regular ways of scoring goals, whether it's Jordan Morris cutting in from the flank, whether it's Rui Diaz finding a spot in the box, or the cut back to Laryea. Set pieces, this is the way the Sounders want to play. And if they get past, say they get to host another game, they've had a pretty good run. They've stayed 2 games at home right now. They'll have another turnaround. They may not have to travel for that necessarily. They've had a nice run in the playoffs. They're priming right now.
Charlie, you were talking about that during the game. Like, what do you think Schmetzer was saying at halftime to his team? And like, how do you think he said it?
I think he said, we're fine without the ball. Let's stay compact and then look to counter. Get Nico Laryea on the ball, because he can be the guy to be the buffer, keep possession for us, and then find those holes, find those spaces to release Jordan Morris into space.
If you are Brian Schmetzer, if you are this team, if you're Adrian Henauer and all these supporters, you're watching El Trafico tomorrow night. What are you hoping for? What are you thinking? Hey, you know what?
Red
I
cards,
want this team.
red cards.
Yeah, red cards. Injuries, maybe not injuries. Knock on wood.
You're hoping for the Galaxy to win. That's no doubt about it. You do not want to go down to LAFC. We saw what happened when the Sounders went down there. Yes, it was a long time ago early in the season, but it was probably the most devastating the LAFC looked all season. I think it was a 4-1 victory. But they beat the LA Galaxy at home just recently, and you always want to play a game at home. You don't want to face LAFC.
Of course you want to play LA Galaxy. Zlatan on turf, we saw what he looked like against Minnesota United. It was probably the worst performance I've seen from Zlatan in a meaningful game since he's been in Major League Soccer. So if you are Seattle, that's who you want to play. Because without Zlatan working, getting on the ball, being confident, and then being influential in that final third, that's who we want to play, because that really is the Galaxy in a nutshell.
I think they want to play the Galaxy. They just want to play at home.
Yeah.
They're comfortable right now. You always want to play in front of your home fans. They've got great atmosphere up there. I think they're looking for the Galaxy to win, play another home game.
We'll find out tomorrow night. For now, though, let's go out to Central Field and drop in on Brian Schmetzer's press conference and see what the head coach had to say.
In the playoffs, despite what struggles might have led up to the regular season, what's the key to that?
I don't know. I mean, it's a great group of guys. I have a outstanding coaching staff. I think from day one, this organization was built on winning and persevering in times of trouble. We don't feel sorry for ourselves if things don't go our way. We pick ourselves up. We go back to work. We do all of the little things that make us a hard team to beat. There's things that I take from different coaches. Coach Carroll's always positive, and he's always doing these things, and he talks about, commitment and all of these things. And I listen to other coaches to kind of get what I say to the group. Alan Hinton, Jimmy Gabriel, a lot of guys I kind of listen to and then formulate, think about how can I say it in my own version, and those guys respond. You have leadership from different positions. I was very pleased with the clean sheet tonight. Steph leading from back there. Nico, Gustav, another good performance. Christian. So, overall, I think it's just organizationally, this franchise has always been about winning, and we want to continue that.
Tim? Brian, for them to have that much possession but still have only 7 shots and only 1 gets on.
Good vibes for the Seattle Sounders. They're moving on to the conference finals. There has been a Cascadian team in that stage of the playoffs every single year since 2011. But there is a side note to this game, and it's a big one. Nick Rimando has played his final match for Real Salt Lake and his final match in Major League Soccer, his final match as a professional. Let's now go to Poppy Miller with a post-game interview with the goalkeeper that spent 20 years in Major League Soccer.
Nick, you've had an absolutely outstanding career, not the way that you wanted to end here tonight, but what can you say about this group and how special has this year been for you?
Yeah, great. I enjoyed every bit of it. Our team showed a lot of, fight tonight. We battled to the end, even to going down one. Didn't have as many chances as we wanted to, but we stuck in there. It was a hard-fought year for us. I think there's many years that the fans should be happy about and excited about in the years to come. Didn't end the way we wanted it to, but I hope the fans appreciate what we did out there today.
You've had a phenomenal season and an excellent career, as we mentioned. When you have time, how will you reflect on this final one?
Yeah, again, it's tough to swallow right now, but I gave everything I had. I know my teammates did too, and give it a couple days, couple weeks, couple months. Just reflect on the career that this ball's given me, and just so grateful for everybody that's been involved and supported me, and then see what's next. Maybe hopefully stick in the game somehow.
Brilliant. We appreciate the time. Best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
20 years. That's a long time to be at the top of your craft. He's got, I think, minutes, games, almost all the goalkeeping records. What's his legacy? The other night, we talked about Wayne Rooney, and Benny Feilhaber said short. Well, it's the opposite of short, yeah?
I mean, he's a role model. He's somebody I've always looked up to because of the way he handles himself as a professional. He's always been a big-time keeper, makes big-time saves, never let height be an issue. When you watched Nick Rimando play, you thought fearless and someone who always brought his A game.
He's ahead of his time with his distribution. He even had a couple tonight where he was just pinging 40, 50, 60-yard outlets right on a dime. 20 years ago, it was not something you thought about with keepers at all, and now it's every keeper in the world has to have some ability with that. Nick Rimando is still one of the very best that we have in MLS. Maybe they can talk him out of it one more year.
And he's a club legend pretty much at every club he's been at. I mean, literally he's won championships in multiple places. And then on top of it, a guy that spent his entire career in MLS. And that's pretty rare even for a guy of his caliber, maybe opportunities abroad. But a guy, when you look at the growth of the league, the state of the league, and also most notably the state of that franchise with Salt Lake City, they should build a statue for him.
MLS legend, one of the best goalies of all time in our league. I was fortunate enough to play with him a bit on the national team, and he was an awesome teammate and a great guy. So, Nick, you'll be missed. Great player in MLS history.
Congratulations to Nick Rimando on a magnificent career, though this night ends in a way he might not have liked. Let's now look back to the first game of the night, and it had some regrets, let's say, for NYCFC as well. They're the top seed in the Eastern Conference. They were 6 points up after 34 games in the regular season, and then Toronto FC put them under pressure, Matt.
Yeah, they did. They battered them in the first half and probably should have had a goal for it. And then second half, 3 minutes after the break, NYCFC just gift one to him right here. Thank you very much, says Alejandro Pozuelo, playing off the back shoulder like a forward right there.
The false nine. And then there were some chances for NYCFC. They started to put the pressure on. They had their moments, Calen. They just couldn't quite capitalize until...
Yeah, they pushed in the second half. I think they came in at halftime and realized there was a mountain to climb. We're a little bit stunned by it, and this goal from Tajuri Shradi got them back in the game. You thought that they were going to continue to run away with it, but it kind of went awry from there, allowed Toronto to get their footing, and this was the decisive moment.
Mindless tackle from Ronald Matarrita, but let's give credit to Richie Laryea because he came in off the bench for the second straight game and he made a huge difference for Toronto FC. He made a match-winning play, and this is a match-winning PK right here from Pozuelo.
Ooh, the bravery. He's done this before. It's deja vu for Sean Johnson. We will show you that here in just a little bit. Pozuelo's first ever game in MLS included a Panenka.
How about
he almost had an assist.
Sean? Yeah.
He almost had an assist, and here comes the goalkeeper to paw it out and preserve. Yes, sir. There's the reaction. here at the AT&T MLS Studios. Benny Feilhaber. We thought we got rid of him. That wasn't the case.
Benny just lives in the studio.
Yeah,
He's
he said
sleeping
he might
here
actually
tonight.
sleep here tonight. There is a shower.
He loves
he
it.
could
Off
sit if he'd
season,
like.
off season, guys.
Anything stand out to you here, Charlie, in the stats, or is this just
Yes,
couple
Toronto
mistakes?
being efficient. The first half, they pressed, they created turnovers. In the attacking half, they connected 296 passes. In the final third, 167 to New York City's 109. To me, that stands out. They were the better team. They were more aggressive, and they dominated in the attacking half.
two key guys missing, and you know their names. It's Jozy Altidore and it's Omar Gonzalez. Now, Omar was in the 18, Jozy was not. Now they have about a week, Sacha. How do they get these guys back, if at all? How does this affect their thinking as they look ahead to this conference final?
I think those two guys need to be living at the training center for the next week, getting treatment around the clock, trying to get ready for the conference final. Toronto's got to be ecstatic right now. They've made it this far without their two stars. Going to be tough, whoever they play in the next round, but if they get Jozy back, I like them. They like Seattle, they know who they are, and they're doing well right now.
I think they have 12 games without a loss. That's decent. That's not bad. We said, well, we didn't. Charlie Davies said they had no chance without Jozy. Well, Alejandro Pozuelo is a pretty good stand-in, it seems, at that number 9 position. I mentioned the deja vu for Sean Johnson. He had, in his first game, an opportunity from the spot. And what did he do? He chipped him. He went with the Panenka. Now, most people don't go with this technique. Regular season, playoffs, 88th minute, and the like. Sacha, you've taken a lot of PKs in your time. This technique, for one, and then, of course, Sean Johnson saved one. There's 4 PKs this year. But then to do it again in the playoffs? What's that say?
4 penalties against the same goalie in one season is tough because it starts to become a mind game. And the courage from Pozuelo to do the dink down the middle again, my hat's off to him. He was a star tonight. That's amazing.
Ice in the veins. I loved it. And I knew he was going to go down the middle. I called it. I said, look, in a situation like this, a lot of keepers, they get psyched out. They're thinking, there's no way he's going to do something risky. He's going to go for the safe shot. And that's the perfect moment to pull a Panenka off. Full credit to Pozuelo for showing out tonight. Because on the road, he hasn't done it this year. And now in the playoffs, when it matters, you spend that much money on a DP, this is when you want them to come through. And he's done it for them tonight.
And they are going on the road. We know that next week. It will be either Philly or Atlanta. Now let's hear from Alejandro Pozuelo. David Goss was at Citi Field tonight. AT&T Call to the field with the hero for the Reds.
I know I have 3 options, left, right, and the middle, not only 2. So it's more difficult for the keepers. And we have lucky today. Maybe other day I miss. I remember here I miss for the win. But today the families come also, so they help a lot.
Last time you guys played NYCFC, Alejandro Pozuelo had a penalty kick. It didn't go well. Any question mark around letting him take it?
No, never. He has his way of going about things. I think when you're at this point in the game, the goalkeeper isn't going to stand in the middle. He's going somewhere gutsy, because if you miss it looks really bad, but he read it right and he got it in.
You've won some big games. Where does this one rank?
Yeah, it's up there. I mean, there's some trophies that we won along the way that I have to put ahead of it, but in terms of compete, we turned around in 4 days, a team that's had a lot of rest, and we just gritty all night, and so it's up there though, because this is a big one for the club.
Alejandro, you played up top as the 9 again with no Jozy. What's that position feel like for you?
Yeah, we know the important role for Jozy in this team. I try to give other team to their team. I think we have the quality of Jozy and we know the quality of me, so we try to give more possession, more different thing, and today it's fantastic result here.
Yeah, so you heard some of Alejandro Pozuelo's words right there, and you've heard us talk all night about how are they going to replace Jozy Altidore, and it's not a like-for-like replacement with Pozuelo playing as a number 9 because he's playing as a false 9. So let's take a look at what he does. He actually holds the ball up right there like a center forward, but then he drops back and becomes a playmaker, and the other guys around him know that they have to get forward and create penetration off the ball. Of course, Pozuelo makes a good center forward run as well. The timing wasn't quite there. But the idea threw NYCFC off in that first half. And then later in that half, drifting out to the, I mean, that's a center back. He's chasing Pozuelo all the way to the touchline, and then at this point, everybody at NYCFC is chasing ghosts. They have no idea how to pick up the Toronto FC runners. And you can see at one point right here, Collins and Matarrita are actually pointing at each other, trying to figure out who goes in what direction. It doesn't lead to a goal for Toronto FC, but it did establish the tone of this game. NYCFC at no point looked like they were comfortable going up against this Toronto FC team. Pozuelo as a false 9, it really did work tonight. Question going into the conference final is, will it work again? Because now there's plenty of tape on him playing this position at this point, guys.
Charlie, are you rethinking what you said pregame when you said no chance? Is there anything in your mind that says, okay, maybe I was a little bit rash there? Maybe Pozuelo at the 9 and this false 9, as Matt described it, can be a game plan that wins games in the playoffs?
Yes, because initially I thought one game was lucky against DC United, especially in the extra time portion, where everyone was fluid, interchanging, and what Pozuelo does is he can stretch and then he comes deep and then draws the center backs with him. And when he does that, he's creating space there for the outside wingers to make those runs there. And what he does so great is when he does get on the ball, he's able to turn and play those balls in behind. He's a very talented player. And what he is a game changer. And when we talk about getting Jozy Altidore back, if there's ever a time for him to come back is a conference finals when you're playing Atlanta United, who have Michael Parkhurst and Miles Robinson out and could potentially be coming back as well, or a young Philadelphia Union back line. So for him, for TFC right now, it looks great. Beating New York FC, the top seed, and then going into the conference finals with a ton of confidence where everyone's playing really well, and then you get your 2 stars back. This team has proved me wrong, and I think they've proved all you guys wrong and a ton of doubters because they are looking mighty strong.
Oh, yeah, at the end. Loop us all in. You guys said NYCFC. I didn't say anything. I just want to throw that out there. My bracket might
I also want to throw in Greg Vanney deserves a ton of credit.
He does.
For putting the right formation, the right tactics, and putting the right people in those spots.
Let's talk about one of those guys. Endo's one, but I want to talk about Richie Laryea because you have experience with him, Sacha, with Orlando, and he was a guy coming into this year that people thought, who is he? Is he going to be a player in this league? And I think he's proven that this year in MLS and also now on the international level. What did you see from him in this game? And he obviously changed it with the PK.
Richie deserves a ton of credit. So he got a new opportunity in Toronto this season, a new position. They switched him to right back where he's never played before, and he got better as the season gone on. And now he's a difference maker, not only for club but for country. The USA-Canada game, he was fantastic as well. And so the last 2 games now in the playoffs, he's got a goal, he set up a penalty. He's such a good dribbler, and he draws fouls all the time. So I was not surprised to see him come in and make a difference tonight. He's really turning into a really big difference maker for this team.
Similar space as he got into for the penalty kick.
Yes.
Calen, what'd you see on that play? Because it is the one that ultimately changed this game.
Well, I think there's still not a lot of tape on him, and I think he's catching people by surprise. Sometimes you see a guy maybe go to his hometown team, and you think, oh, this is a nice signing, but he's really taken the opportunity and run with it, literally, because Matarrita there doesn't sense the danger. He doesn't understand how quick he is, how laterally he can move quickly, and then once he gets past him, you're not going to catch him at that point. A rash challenge from behind in the box. It's a challenge you generally see outside the box when you realize the guy's about to make it in. Mm-hmm. But I think part of it is, as you're game planning for these teams, so much of the focus is maybe going towards other places like Pozuelo. You forget about the late substitution, and in both matches, he's been the decisive one to come in and get them to the next round.
Well, you've also talked about Richie Laryea not having a position. And at Orlando, it didn't work out because you didn't know where he could play. And it seems like Toronto said, this is where you fit. And we've all seen when a player gets confidence and he's talented and a coach gives him the belief and instructions and idea how to move forward, they thrive. And now it looks like he's flourishing in that role.
And I think going back to Greg Vanney, you got to give him a lot of credit for throwing him in a new position and turning him into this player. And you can see on that penalty, that last touch, he almost baits the defender and then pushes it one more time with his left and accelerates again, and Matarrita's got no chance. And Richie can do that all game long. He's so good at drawing fouls, and yeah, a lot of credit to Greg Vanney.
The bright side here is for Richie Laryea. The darker side is for Ronald Matarrita, who was broken up and after this game was seen hugging and apologizing to NYCFC fans for the tackle that led to the PK that knocked NYCFC out of the playoffs yet again. Now, he wasn't the only one that made a mistake. Let's go back to that first goal. What's happening here? Calen, what went wrong here? Why the header backwards?
Well, we've got only attackers here, so I'll take the question. But generally, this has been the issue with NYCFC when they run into problems. In their most crushing, devastating losses, it's generally been by their own demise. And this is a perfect example of it, of a play where they just take an extra risk in the back. They did it against the Red Bulls with Sacha's teams when they would come out and press. They would not stop playing out of the back. And this is one where you're not facing the goalkeeper, so Sean Johnson can't read your body language to understand that this ball is coming back. Yes, they've maybe tried this several times throughout the season, but this is the difference in the playoffs. Just a little bit of optimism from Pozuelo there, just sniffing it out a little bit. And Johnson's not expecting it because he's not looking that direction. Pozuelo gets it, and from there, you're playing from behind.
Pozuelo's first goal gets second by Panenka, and Toronto FC are moving on. I mentioned it, though. That's 4 straight years in the conference semis, and NYCFC exit. This was not where they wanted to be. There was some news after this as well from Doyle Toronto, which we'll get to in just 1 second with the quote. But, Charlie, this loss for them, what's it mean for this club?
Change. I think when you look at it, they had all this talent, there was all this potential, and yet when it came down to it, you didn't deliver. It's been up and down for Doyle Toronto, especially in the beginning of the stages of this season. Things weren't firing. Last year, when you saw Patrick Vieira leave, it was a struggle fest. But then he started getting confidence, and he understood how to make this team strong. They finished the season, at least the middle of the season, they were powering through. You thought, okay, this team is destined for a long run in the postseason. And then they just fell flat. They started off flat. They didn't have enough energy. They didn't show what they were so good at all season, which is getting on the ball and generating chances on such a small field. And then you saw it didn't get better. Until the second half, they had that reaction, and then they just stopped again. And they let TFC get back in gain of possession, winning those second balls. I think the distance between Alexander Ring and Max Morales today was too vast. There was too much space in between the two, so therefore they weren't winning those second balls, they weren't on the front foot, and they paid the price.
They did pay the price, and now there's some news coming out afterwards from Doyle Toronto, some quotes that we'll show you now. Interpret this how you may, but here's what he said. Believe me, it's not important. They are ready, his players, for another coach because they're a big group. They are ready, but don't worry, Patrick is not here, it's Dome. If Dome is not here, another coach. This is not what I would think a coach who knows he is coming back and expects to be back might say. Now, we are speculating a little bit. How do you guys read this quote? What do you think when you see it?
I think it's a little hard to understand in some ways because I think you could interpret it to say that it doesn't matter who the coach is, the results need to be better, or the players need to be better, or you could read it as I'm on my way out the door.
How do you read it?
I think he's frustrated. It's hard to judge right at the end of the game. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I think coaching in New York is a unique challenge. We've seen it on both sides of the table. Sacha, I'll let you speak to the playing in New York part, but that pressure is really big. And I think when I look at what Patrick Vieira did coming in here, he looked at this as maybe a challenge that he wanted to take on to develop in his coaching career and move forward. But he also said in that same press conference that he needed more money. He needed more players. And when you come from a club like Man City, where you have every resource in the world, literally in front of you, and then you come to MLS, it's a little bit different. That challenge is tough. Now, he's built out a nice roster where he's had some attacking weapons, but for me, they lack that one guy that's going to grab the game. And that's what I was looking for watching this match was who's going to grab the ball and try and make a difference. Tajuri Shradi stepped up in that one moment. But MLS is becoming a league where, to maybe Dome's point, and I think NYCFC tried to go away from this, is that one big striker, big-time striker, or big player that can grab a game, make a difference, can get you through. Today it was Pozuelo. I'm not sure they had that on the other side.
Was this just an emotional reaction, Sacha?
Yeah, it's hard to speculate, and it's a bit harsh to judge an entire season. They had such a good regular season off one playoff loss. So I don't want to speculate too much. Plus, English is probably his second or third language, and he might not be as comfortable speaking in English as clearly we can see. We're speculating here, so I don't want to comment too much on what he said.
All right, we'll see what happens. He says he will go back and talk to the City Football Group about his future and the future of NYCFC. A big season for Dome Toronto. He finished second in Coach of the Year voting, but it is time for the number 1 seed and the top finish in the Eastern Conference to meet their maker, let's say. Doyle bringing out the scythe. This is what he does come playoff time. It is the bit that just will not die, I guess we shall say. Doyle, do the honors.
Yeah, the bit is undead, I think, right here. It's because it's time to harvest NYCFC's soul. The Grim Reaper is going to do it again in the same exact spot that he's done it 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, the conference semifinals. NYCFC cannot get over this hump, and at this point, I'm not sure it's clear why. Patrick Vieira took over this team in 2016. They made progress. They made progress in 2017. Then Dome comes in 2018, brings him back, and says, I want to instill my own system. They go backwards. Then this year, they start going forwards again. They do make progress with it. They have their best regular season ever. They have home field advantage. They have a deep and talented roster. And in the playoffs, in the conference semifinals, they found a way to mess up yet again. I'm going to say it, guys. That's so Metro. This feels like the old Metro Stars teams from across the river. Maybe the curse from New York has infected NYCFC as well. But I don't think this team should go back to the drawing board. If it is Dome Toronto managing next year, or if it is a new manager coming in, this system that they have, it works. It showed it in the regular season. They showed it through 25 minutes tonight. You just got to get the right pieces on the field. I thought Dome was a little bit too hesitant to make game-changing subs in this one, and it did come back to bite them. But this isn't time to panic for NYCFC. This is time to make minor adjustments, maybe get one more big player in, maybe next year go a little further in the playoffs.
Big offseason for NYCFC. These teams are rolling on, though. We asked you who the MVP of the night was. Pozuelo, Laryea, Svensson, Ladero, and Pozuelo with his 2 goals, the iconic moment. The Padenka gets that one. Now we have 2 more games coming up on Thursday. Atlanta, Philly get us started. Those are on ESPN. It starts at 8 p.m. We'll have your pregame show with all the lineups, analysis, and interviews from On Location in Atlanta. And then it's El Trafico, the game that all the neutrals were dreaming about, and maybe LAFC were, but in their nightmares, this is massive. This is the 6th meeting, and guess who's never won? Yeah, it's the black and gold. LAFC, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, ESPN, TSN, TVA in Canada. And they'll have the Siggy Schmidt Coach of the Year on one side. That is Bob Bradley. He won by a wide margin in this one. What do you think, guys? I think it obviously deserved, but what's the job that he did this year, Sacha?
He did a great job of getting that group just a continuation of last season. They were very good last season as an expansion club, and they just kept building upon that and building upon that. I think the midfield is the strength of the team, and then you got Carlos Vela, the best player in the league, will probably win the MVP. But Bob did such a good job getting all these guys to play together, to play his style, and he's just such a good coach. He's a great manager. He manages the guys well, and I think the guys love playing for him.
What's his job in this game, Charlie?
His job is to focus on cutting out the service to Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who's been a pain in his butt. Because when Zlatan gets opportunities, he finishes. If you can cut out that service, know that they're playing long balls, they look to counter through Pavone and Antuna, you have yourself a game plan. And then Carlos Vela is Carlos Vela. Vela. Get him on the ball. He's going to score goals. That's what he does. He's the best player in this league. And I think what Bob has done so well this year is continue to motivate him and push him. And the consistency, not only with Carlos Vela, but the whole team. That's what I love about Bob Bradley, and that's why he won the award this year.
Yeah, I think the thing about Bob is that he pushes these guys every day in training. No matter how good they were this season, he was pushing more. I saw it firsthand when we played against LAFC down in Orlando this year. As soon as they scored the first goal, he was riling the guys up again. Go, keep going, keep pressing, keep going. And I think he pushes that in training every day, and that's why they were the best team in the league this season.
We talked about training staffs. Well, Mark Anthony Kaye will be in the training room until game time, you'd think. Maybe a late add or a late subtraction, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But I want to ask you about the playing side, because Bob Bradley can't score the goals. He can't be on the field. So if you're going to take him in one game, this game, Carlos Vela, the MVP, I assume, or Zlatan Ibrahimovic?
Wow. Well, look, this is the first time I think in MLS history that we have two 30-goal scorers going at it, let alone in a playoff game. So that's a pretty good choice to pick from. It'd be hard to pick against Zlatan in this game because I feel like in the past he has made it his own. From the first game, and I was at this one a week after interviewing him in Manchester in his signing, and he told me he was going to come here and conquer the United States, and a week later, he did that. And since then, he has really done that to LAFC. He has been the star of the show under the bright lights. And yes, you can question, does he show up and do it every week? Although 30 goals is pretty darn good turnout for that. But I think in one game, I'm still going to have to take Zlatan. For the team, I'm taking LAFC. But if I'm picking between which star do I want in the moment that matters, I'm still going with Zlatan.
I think I'm going with Carlos. I think Carlos Vela, this is his time. This is his moment. You're going to be the MVP of the league. Now, show it. Show the reason why. You've had this remarkable season. The team has been fantastic. You cannot be considered among the greatest team ever if you don't win MLS Cup. And they need their best player to show up when it matters most.
I'm not betting against Zlatan. I think his best games in MLS have all come against LAFC. And LAFC have never beaten the Galaxy, and that's something that's in their minds. And so if Zlatan shows up, I'm taking him. He can put the team on his back. He can pop in 1, 2, 3 goals.
Okay.
I'm not betting against Zlatan.
Did it not concern you about the lack of mobility and his poor touch in the game against Minnesota?
Doesn't concern me. Go back and watch the games he's played against LAFC, and he is a superstar.
And this Galaxy team in general has sort of not turned up for the moments that really don't maybe matter as much.
We're talking about a playoff game.
Well,
that matters?
Well,
he didn't show up. Zlatan, your biggest player, did not show up in the playoffs.
Yeah, he likes Los Angeles.
Okay.
I think he likes Los Angeles, whether at home or at his other home, as he would call it, LAFC, at the Bank of California Stadium. He has showed up in those biggest matches. When the lights are on, I'm not going to question him.
He was resting, Charlie. He was just getting ready. He figured, my guys got this. I'll just chill. Because I know.
We'll be seeing him tomorrow.
We will see him.
Back from
Trafico
vacation.
coming up on Thursday, as well as Atlanta United, the defending champions, hosting the Philadelphia Union. We'll have much more on that match, lineups, analysis, and interviews from Mercedes-Benz tomorrow on our pregame show. MLS app, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as MLSsoccer.com. Check us out there. For now, though, we're getting out of here. We will see you tomorrow night, everyone, for more playoff soccer. Get some sleep and rest up for another night of the Audi 2019 MLS Cup Playoffs.